Hey folks, Jimmy here, aka Palette of the Dead. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to the latest issue of Warhammer 40k Combat Patrol magazine. Now, as per usual with all these videos, if you like them, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't subscribed already, and of course, drop me a comment down below. Love hearing back from you guys. It goes a massive way to helping out the channel too. Now, this week we are on issue number 56 of good old Combat Patrol magazine. It is part 2 of 2 of our Leagues of Votann Hernkin Pioneers. So this week we get one sprue and we get the 3 bases. So pretty cool stuff. So obviously this sprue has all the other bits and pieces that we're going to need to be able to finish off the 3 Hernkin Pioneers, including some of the weaponry and such like that as well to kind of get it going. But yeah, really cool stuff. Happy days. Yeah, it's pretty good. They're a pretty good unit. I do quite like them. They're a pretty cool one. So, anyway, moving on from there. Obviously, last week we had the build guide, so you should be able to get through that pretty easily. So this week, obviously, we have our paint guide. Now, my thing, obviously, always is, if you can, spray prime your minis. Prime your minis with a spray can. Makes life so much easier in the long run. Obviously, you want to be doing it on a warm day, so this time of year here in the UK is yeah, not the best for it. And if you are going to be doing it this time of year below the kind of 20-degree temperature range, top tip is get yourself a jug of warm water, so not scalding hot, so not fresh out the kettle or anything like that, but pretty warm. Put your can of spray paint in that water for as long as you can, ideally more than 5 minutes. Let that can heat up. That'll heat all the paint particles up inside it and all the liquid. It makes it far easier to spray, and it also helps it stick. So if you are spraying onto a cold surface with a cold can of spray paint, it will run and it won't stick very well, and it'll come out a bit gloopy and horrible, and yeah, it won't be pretty. So that's my way of doing it. Obviously, make sure that you're doing it at a right temperature as well. So if you've got a 17-degree day, that's pretty decent. If you've got higher than that, even better. So, but yeah, make sure you're doing it at right temperatures and right weather conditions, and with decent temperature spray paint, because it makes life a lot easier. If you're brush painting, obviously, you get to ignore all that stuff and you get to just go for it. Personally, brush basing is not really my favourite thing to do. I do kind of dislike it. Just always have. Yeah, it's probably my fondness for spray paint. Anyway, enough about that. Ideally, doing everything in sub-assemblies is the main key. So do not attach that tactical rock. Don't glue it to your mini, because it'll be easier to paint them up separately. If you do attach them, in all honesty, it's going to be a bit of a nightmare. But yeah, makes life a lot easier if you're doing them separately. But yeah, happy days. So fairly straightforward. If you're following this colour scheme, it works very well, I must admit. It's a really nice colour scheme. Some of the more unique colour schemes are not really for me when it comes to good old these magazines, but this one's really nice. I do genuinely like it. If I was going to redo my Leagues of Votann or go have a whole new host of Leagues of Votann, this probably wouldn't be my colour scheme. I really like it. However, I purposely chose a particular kind of colour scheme, and that's just because of my preferences. But I already have one in mind, and it's one I chose ages ago when I got the first box when this came out, so I'm going to stick with that because they'll all go together. Anyway, fairly straightforward using this colour scheme. Works very well. The colour scheme for this is one of the better ones, in all honesty. Following the paint guide, also very good. It works very well. If you want lighter colours for certain things, you can do, obviously, entirely up to you. But however, this works very well. When you're done with it, you're going to have 3 very nice looking minis, which you just can't knock, really. It works very well. And this isn't even finished, so there will be more to come later on, with a few extra highlights and layers and stuff like that that will go on there, and a few extra little tiny details, but really, really good stuff. So just genuinely can't knock it. So pretty cool. Moving on from there, though, we get a new part to our main story and our main fiction, going through all of it, part 14 of Bonds of Honor. So if you've not caught up like that on it, like I haven't, in all honesty, this is part for you. Eventually I might get around to reading it, but in all honesty, I still haven't read the one from Imperium. So yeah, that might not happen anytime soon. But yeah, fun times. So it's all pretty cool and it all works very, very well. Moving on from there, though, we get more lore to do with the kin hosts of the Leagues of Votann. So, the Leagues of Votann are an advanced technological society and a redoubtable military power. The best of their strategy, invention, and leadership, when I can learn to speak properly, are combined in the kin hosts, the armies that defend the kindreds from external military threats and secure the safety of their vital mining and trading operations. When the Leagues of Votann go to war, they leave nothing to chance. Their kin hosts are equipped with some of the finest weapons, armour and equipment in the entire galaxy. They employ advanced vehicles to mount offensive and defensive operations, allowing them to strike hard and fast at the cowering enemy. When the troops dismount, they are expertly coordinated by master strategists and move decisively towards the foe, capturing positions and putting down enemy units in a torrent of bolts and storm of plasma fire. So, you get a bit more information about the different kin hosts of the Leagues of Votann. So these are all your different sub-factions within the faction itself. So kind of like your Space Marines have different Space Marine chapters and such like that, and you have different groups within the Chaos Space Marines and the Eldari, and even the Tyranids have different hives and such like that. So it works in kind of that way, which can vary depending on their colour scheme, which kind of comes into it a little bit more. So you get information about the soldiers of the line as well. So a kin host is usually built around a solid core of infantry, who the kin refer to as soldiers of the line. The most numerous of these are the highly trained and well-equipped Hearthkin warriors. But a kin host also contains combat specialists like the heavily armoured Einherjar and the Chthonian Berserks. And then they also have the Armoured Might, because they have some really cool vehicles. The Sagittor, really, really cool. I really, really enjoyed painting that one up when I bought that one. And the Hecatan Land Fortress, at the moment completely sold out on GW's website. I do need to get one. I must admit, I do need to get one. I think it's a cool unit. So I need to pull my finger out and get one of them at some point soon. Hopefully. At least we'll try anyway. Then we move on, we get more information about the League. So we're getting more and more of the lore, because we need to kind of churn these issues out and get these done before we run out of issues for the Leagues of Votann. So, to ward themselves against the vicious perils of the wider galaxy, kindreds band together in alliances called leagues. These leagues pool their resources, relationships, and military might to prosper together, forming recognisable and unified cultures that have their own specific methods of surviving and thriving. The leagues were first formed to defend the ancestor cores that were distributed among the mining fleets, and they were primarily military in purpose. Soon these flourishing alliances evolved into something closer to nations, each with their own heraldry, outlook, and culture. Some have been destroyed over the thousands of years, but while others have been fragmented and scattered, but many have risen to the challenges of life in the galactic core and have only become larger, stronger, and more unified over the millennia since their foundings. So, pretty cool bit of information there, but some of them are very similar in a lot of ways to the good old the way the Space Marines work. So they've all been founded to do certain things, and some of them have been scattered, some of them are together, some of them are not, some of them are whole, some of them have been destroyed, all that stuff. So, It's quite interesting, really. It makes it a bit more unique, and they are an advanced technological race, which is pretty damn cool at the same time, and they all have their own uniqueness. So, you get a bit of information and their colour schemes here as well for them. So, including some of the symbols which you get on transfer sheets for the Leagues of Votann. Unfortunately, we don't get any transfer sheets with this magazine. Bit annoying, but it is what it is. So, we have the Greater Furian League. So, the Greater Furian League is one of the largest and oldest leagues of Votann. They have amassed a huge store of wealth and command one of the largest and most powerful armies of the Kinhost warriors. Their deeds and battles are legendary, for they can boast of famous heroes such as Utar the Destined and Karl Covermin Red. Try saying that when you're drunk. Then you have the Trans-Hyperion Alliance. So, the Trans-Hyperion Alliance are noted for their adventurous streak and their love of exploring. They use advanced spacecraft to search out untapped resources with new trade routes and other species to ally with. They hold deep respect for their ancestors and all of the leagues, they probably come closest to having a religious attitude. And then we have the colour scheme that I went for, in all honesty, the Ymir Conglomerate. So the Ymir Conglomerate are noted craftspeople and manufacturing experts. Their Brook here produce some of the finest spacecraft, weapons and equipment among all the leagues. In order to join the conglomerate, a kindred must pay an offering of raw materials and prove that their Brook here are of sufficient standard and stand amongst the Ymir peers. Now, one of the things that I'm going to quickly mention as well with these guys. So, each of the leagues originally, and I need to check the newer codex, although I haven't got the newer codex, had different rules, had special stratagems that could be deployed depending on your league. So, the Greater Furian League, for instance, had Appraising Glare, and these are the cards from the original army box that came out. So, they have their own special one, so you can use this stratagem as a Greater Furian League Karl model from your army. Uses it to Grim Efficiency ability. The selected enemy unit gains 1 additional judgment token, so you can do things like that. Then you had, for the Urani Surtur Regulates, their stratagem was Waste Not Your Last Breath. So in the fight phase, when a character from that league, from your army that has not already been selected to fight this phase is destroyed, do not remove that model from play. It can fight after the attacking model's unit has finished making attacks. After resolving the destroyed model's attacks, it is then removed. So basically, it can sustain its wounds and take a shot or whatever, and can do its action to kind of fight back and go through there. For the Ymir Conglomerate, they have a pulsed beam discharge as their stratagem. So you get to, as part of the shooting phase, when your Ymir Conglomerate unit from your army is selected to shoot, select one model in that unit and then select one beam weapon that it is equipped with. Until the end of the battle phase, each time a hit is scored with that weapon, the target suffers 1 mortal wound in addition to normal damage. Then there is a couple of others. So there is the Cronus Hegemony as well, who have Bloody Expectations, which you could utilise for when you select a unit from that army is selected to fight until the end of the phase. Each time a model in that unit makes a melee attack and an unmodified hit roll of 6 scores 1 additional hit. So, can be quite useful. And then for the Trans-Hyperion Alliance, they have the Cult of Veneration. So they use this stratagem in any phase when a Trans-Hyperion Alliance model from your army would lose a wound as the result of a mortal wound. Until the end of the phase, each time that model or another model in its units would lose a wound as a result of a mortal wound, roll 1d6. On a 5+, that wound is not lost. So, all of them can come in quite useful as well with them stratagems, so they're not too bad. So yeah, that was from the original box. Now, I don't know if they've changed, so they may have, and they may have had some updates, but it gives you an idea of the different utilizations that you can use for stratagems for the Leagues of Votann alone. So, pretty cool stuff. Moving on, more of a campaign. So, Orcs versus Space Marines for this campaign. Clash of Patrols. Basically, smashy, nice time. Have fun with that one. You get to go through that one. Then we get a new scenario, salvage for supplies. So this one is using your Eldari, using some debris cards, crater cards, or a barricade and such like that, and having a bit of fun with it. And yeah, when the pages aren't stuck together, that normally helps. And obviously it ripped it, obviously, because yeah, that's the way it goes. And you get to have a bit of fun with it. So you get your Leagues of Votann as well, and it's all about kind of going for it. Have a bit of fun with it. Pretty cool stuff. Then we get our datasheet abilities, all to do with scouts, reminder, outflanking maneuver, mag riders and stuff like that for the good old Leagues of Votann, and you get to have a bit of fun with it. So pretty cool. It's all about your fast attack units for this scenario. So it gets you a bit of use out of them, because we haven't got the full combat patrol yet for our good old Leagues of Votann. Moving on from there though, obviously next week and the week after, part 1 and 2, so issue 57 and 58, is our Chthonian Berserks. It's not that many minis. It's 5 minis, kind of technically 6 in a roundabout way. But yeah, so why it's been split over 2 issues, I don't know. I think it's just to fill the 90 issue run, but pretty cool stuff. I must admit, I've never had these guys before, so I am kind of looking forward to them, even though painting flesh is not my favourite thing to do. Yeah. But pretty cool stuff. We'll get more about the Cronus hegemony and light vehicles as well during these issues, so we get some more lore, history, information, and all that good knowledge that, you know, sometimes comes in handy when you're a Warhammer 40k fan. Anyway, that is it from me. There is one last thing I am going to say though, is if you're into your tabletop RPGs and you like your Warhammer, check out Humble Bundle. So go to humblebundle.com. Anytime within the next, I think, 7 days, up until this time next week, there is a bundle on there for the PDFs for a bunch of the Warhammer RPGs, including Warhammer Fantasy RPG, the good old Soulbound, which is the Age of Sigmar one, and the 40k one. So it might be worth having a look at if you want to get into tabletop RPGs and you've got some friends that want to play it as well. So pretty cool stuff. Obviously a lot to learn with them, so there are videos on YouTube all about that type of stuff. Pretty cool. Anyway, that is enough from me. I have rabbited far too much. Thank you very, very much for watching, and I will see you sometime soon. Bye-bye now.